work any less hard to make it a good joke instead of a bad one? And then I'll close with this. This is my favorite. This is by the great Will Rogers, the comedian. The trouble with practical jokes is that very often they get elected. That one's sad but true. So that's it. Happy April Fools and happy opening day of baseball.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Those are great.
Boy, Steve, I thought you would at least do that one from Mark Twain that says, better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and leave no doubt.
Yeah, I would have, but because I was speaking, I didn't think it was a good thing.
Took that on.
Nice. Do we have any visiting Rotarians or guests with us today?
Ginger, I have a guest. Joyce is joining us today.
Hello, Joyce.
Hey,
Good
Joyce.
to have you. Nice to have you. Welcome again.
Joyce.
Anyone else? Any other visiting Rotarians or guests?
Well, you probably noticed that Gino Ashley is sparkling today because he's our newest member.
Yay.
Yes,
Yay, Gino.
Welcome. Nice to have you, Gino. Nice to
thank
have
you.
you.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to meet you in person.
I'm pleased to be here, and I can't wait till we can all meet in person. That's for
That'll
sure.
be great. It's coming up soon. It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Okay, Ricky, it's time for our international Rotary video. Thought that was a lighthearted one for our April 1st. Thanks, Ricky. Now, we do have some announcements from the board. Nancy Harrington, would you like to give us an update on the WASH project?
Great, yes. And I thought that was, the video was very appropriate because they talked about Rotary giving positive lasting change across the world. And that's what this particular project is doing. WASH standing for Water and Sanitation and Hygiene. And Gary gave you statistics last week. I'm not going to go into that, but we do need your help. And thank yous to those of you who've already donated. The account has been set up and we already have $1,000 in there, thanks to several of you. So this is an opportunity to help save lives by building toilets for a rural school in Nigeria. They really have nothing. And that means they have open defecation. And we want to put a stop to that. We all know that that is causes diseases, cripples and kills, and it's just like polio. So anything we can do to help these people, I think would be much appreciated. And at the same time, the students are going to learn the importance of hygiene with help from WASH Consultants, which is also part of this Club to Club grant. We're fortunate that we were born in this country and that we have these things. We can count on clean water and that we have the proper sanitation facilities. but there are countries where people don't have those, and they don't have proper sanitation or clean water, and they have no facilities at all. It's the reason that all of these various diseases are so prevalent, and life expectancy is not so great. So what better place to begin than at a secondary school? Those of you who are familiar with education, you know how much instruction goes on there and how much you can help kids learn about proper hygiene, and they in turn will go home and teach their parents. So this is a great place to begin. Help us and the Rotary Club of Izamia in Nigeria build this 4-toilet facility. It's a $10,000 project. They are contributing $2,000. We are raising $8,000. So if you help us out, send checks to the Rotary Club of Pleasanton Foundation in care of Gary Harrington, and you have all the address and that information. So thank you. Thank you, President Ginger.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate that. Any other announcements from our board?
I got a question on Nancy's project. Give online. Can you send out a link to donate?
Yes, Gary can do that. I think he's already has something ready to send out.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary.
President Ginger, can I add something about the district training assembly?
Yes, Bill.
I sent an email out to the entire club, and if you haven't read it yet, please just scroll through your emails and look for the email. The district training assembly will begin on April 24th. It will happen over 6 different days, all on Zoom, 2 Saturdays, 2 Mondays, and 2 Thursdays. The Saturdays are from 9 a.m. till noon, and the Mondays and Thursdays are 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. If you are going to serve on a committee, you'll find some benefit there. If you're a new member, you're going to find some benefit there. If you're an old member that's not going to serve on a committee, you're probably going to find some benefit there. You know, when professional athletes practice, they practice fundamentals, you know, and so if you've been part of this club for 20, 30, 40 years, you probably learned something when you attend this. So I encourage you to check it out. No cost. It's really easy to do. It's on Zoom. And I put dates for other things that are coming up. The district conference is planning to be live this year at the Gilroy Gardens. It would be fantastic if we're after COVID and we can all get together and go do that. I think it'd be a lot of fun and we'll get value out of it. That's about all I have to say about training and everything, but I think everybody can benefit from it.
Okay.
Ginger, I'd like to remind everybody that next program next week is where we're giving out our local charity grants, and people will be joining us by Zoom to be announced and the amounts that they're giving. So I had sent out a letter about a month ago with who was getting what and all of those things. So it'll be a nice program.
Nancy, just a quick question about that. Did you receive feedback from Todd Utical for the grant to We Are Pleasanton?
Did we what?
I think the We Are Pleasanton program with Todd Utical's run was funded via or through PPIE.
Right.
Did you receive a feedback from Todd about being on next week?
No, because we limited it to a certain dollar amount for people who are doing it, because we have a limited amount of time. So only the people that were like at $2,500 were there. The rest of them, it will be announced and we'll let them know, and they already know, but no, we couldn't have everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Hey, Ginger?
Yes, Mike.
Are you there? Oh, there you are. Hey, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but is there any idea when we can meet in person again?
We did have the conversation yesterday at the board meeting. There's a number of things to coordinate first, and we don't have a venue yet. So we're looking in 3 different places. We're having conversations with HAPS, with the Black Bear Diner, and there is a place on Hop Yard. And we have 3 team members having conversations with the managers and working something out. And there's also a question about how many people we can get into a room, depending on the room size. And so there's just some variables, not to mention the addition of the concept of a hybrid meeting, which is a whole nother animal, which will need AV equipment, et cetera, standing. So we're kind of just taking it one step at a time, but we're getting into the orange tier, so it's inevitable. We're all very much eager to get that done. So although I can't give you a date without the board consent at this point, we are actively dealing with that and getting going. So thanks for asking.
President Ginger.
Thank you.
Yes.
I talked to Daryl Emery over at Car Park. He was, and I'm pretty sure I had let Bill know this, that if you wanted to talk to him, he was willing to let us use his space. We would obviously have to cater in food, but if that's all that we're having to pay for, that may be something that works, because he's got quite a bit of space over there. That was one option.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. You know, there's another option I actually forgot to bring to the board yesterday, and I'm going to just throw it out here right now because it's kind of fun. Pleasanton North is actually doing a bring your own bag lunch type a meeting in April. And so if that's something that
where are they meeting, do you know?
In a park. They're just doing a meeting in a park, and they're bringing bag lunch. So I don't know if you'd be interested in doing a poll on that at the end of the meeting, Ricky, if anybody would be interested in doing that in the next couple of weeks, weather permitting. I'd be open to doing that as a poll, and then we can do an email board discussion and see if we can get that done even preliminarily, just so we can see each other again and actually have a meeting. Something to think about.
Okay, I didn't have enough to do, so I'll work on that towards the end of the meeting.
Perfect.
Actually, I do have an announcement though, because we talked about this in the board meeting yesterday. You've all seen the emails go out, I'm sure, asking for people to consider being the chair and co-chair of the Spirit Run. The Spirit Run's 26. Are we on year 27? Anybody help me out here? What year are we on? 26, 27?
27.
Anyway, it's our longest standing fundraiser. It's what enables us to pay for things like the wheelchairs and the community grants and just everything we like to do as Rotarians that requires money. This is what we raise our money for. And so it's so awesome that Steve McCoy Thompson and Bob Shapiro have agreed to be co-chairs of the Spirit Run Committee.
That's great. April Fools.
Another April Fool.
Sorry, guys. And if you don't want this to be you and me like forcing somebody to do this, I need some volunteers, please. So
I would, but I've got my own run.
Yeah, I know, Steve. I know. I wasn't really seriously asking you. But we really need an appeal to the club again, because we're starting to get to the timeline where a few things, not a lot needs to be done in advance, but a few things need to start being checked off the list, which, by the way, Beth Atterbury and Todd Utical have done such a fantastic job of preparing everything that needs to be done, that really it's just plug and play. We just need leaders to step up and say, yes, I'll donate some time to this. So we don't want to lose this. Please reach out to anybody on leadership and let us know if you're interested in taking one of those 2 positions. Thank you very much for that public service announcement. Back to you.
Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate it.
Ricky, if I could interrupt, what's the drop dead date that you need somebody absolutely positively? And if you don't
next week, Mike, we need you to tell us by next week.
No. Okay, I'll be sure to miss that meeting then.
Can always count on you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Hey, you know what?
Yes, always count on Mike.
Not to toot my own horn, but I was the one that suggested a Halloween Spirit Run.
Yes, you were.
Well, your work here is done then, isn't it?
You know how to do it, Mike, so step up and do it again.
Hey, when I did the Halloween Spirit Run with Sonia, does anybody remember Sonia?
Sonia Mayor?
Sonia, what was Sonia's name? What happened to everybody?
We're here.
Okay, does anybody remember Sonia? She moved to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah,
Sonia
it was
McClellan.
lovely.
She worked at the hospital.
Yes. McClellan?
Yeah,
McClellan?
McClellan,
yes.
Yeah.
McClellan Ford.
Yeah, so she and I were the chair people of the first Halloween Spirit Run. And the only reason I mentioned that is I never knew how to make coffee until I was the co-chair and she taught me how to make coffee.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a great fact. That's
Yeah, thanks.
yeah, write that one down.
Yeah.
Who is that
Thanks
that's
for
talking?
sharing.
It's not me.
Larry?
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you also the chair of Richard Small back in 2000-ish?
Yes, you are correct. That's very good trivial knowledge.
Memory like a steel trap.
The only problem with
Larry, why do you sound like you're in a tunnel?
Yeah.
Because
the only problem with old people being the chair is that we may be dead before the run.
It's a chance we're willing to take.
In fact, we're hoping.
Okay, everyone. So it's now time. There are no other board announcements, and I think we're all set there. Steve McCoy Thompson has got some announcements regarding our program. We have Blue Badge Talks this week.
Great. Yeah, Blue Badge Talks. Really, I think is one of our highlights. I love to get to know people. And so we're going to kick things off with the great Steve Van Dorn to tell us all about himself and something we may not know. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Steve. And I just remembered this morning I was supposed to do this, so hopefully this works. Just kidding. But I want to thank you for this opportunity to share my story. And I want you to know that if you find it boring, just turn your video off and take a little nap, because that's okay with me. As most of you know, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as the president and CEO of the Pleasanton Chamber of Commerce for almost 3 years. August will be my anniversary. And I just thought I'd share how I got here. Let's start from the beginning. I was born on August 22nd, 1960 in the beautiful city of San Diego as a third generation Californian. I had a wonderful childhood growing up in Claremont, which is located about 10 minutes east of Pacific Beach, for those of you that know San Diego. I spent time playing Little League Baseball, where I broke my humerus bone in my right arm pitching at 13 years old, which wasn't very funny. A break similar to what happened to Dave Dravecky of the San Francisco Giants, those of you that are Giants fans. Fortunately, my break had nothing to do with cancer. I also spent a lot of my time body and board surfing, playing volleyball, skateboarding, visits to Ensenada and Rosarita Beach, and most of all, enjoying the relaxed lifestyle of Southern California. For those of you that have seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which was incidentally based on Claremont High School in San Diego, my life at this time was similar to Sean Penn's character, Jeff Spicoli, except I actually attended class. Everybody see that movie? No?
Did you order pizza in class, Steve?
Oh yeah, we ordered everything, you know, it was just part of the deal. I won't talk about the other things he did though. I started playing the trumpet in junior high school and continued in high school with the Madison Warhawk Marching Band and Concert Band. When I realized being in the marching band wasn't the coolest or hippest thing in town, I tried out for water polo and barely made the JV team, scoring 1 goal that entire season. While attending high school and college, I worked at 2 different restaurants, which set me on a course for my future career. One was called The Real Main Thing, where I learned the difference between a California lobster and a Maine lobster. Everybody knows the difference, right? Maine lobster has these and California doesn't. I also had an interesting experience one night depositing our Friday night sales at the bank, and there was a robber waiting for me at the bank. And fortunately, I saw him before I went up to deposit the money, and he looked at me and he thought, "Oh, this guy's pretty tall. Usually, the women of our staff would deposit it on Friday nights," and he just took off, thank God, and we got away with that one. So that was a lucky break. Reuben's Plank House was the second restaurant I worked at. And some of you may have been to a Reuben's restaurant when they actually were around. And here I learned how to make hollandaise sauce and many other customer relation skills. This is also where I received invaluable advice from my fellow coworkers, mostly the waitresses, that I shouldn't stay in the restaurant business, but should go into the hotel business. Fortunately, I ended up following their advice. After graduating from San Diego State University in business management in 1982, and through a club I belonged to in college called ISEC, AIESEC, I was chosen by a Japanese company called Jusco to work and live in Japan for 3 months. This experience was invaluable to me and gave me great insight to another culture and a Japanese style of business management. Back then, everyone was trying to do what the Japanese were doing, if you recall. When I returned to San Diego, I followed the advice of my friends from the Plank House and was hired by Hilton Hotels Corporation to participate in their, what we affectionately call the Hippy Dippy program, or better known as the Hilton Personnel Development Program. I spent 5 years with Hilton Hotels Corporation, which included the San Francisco Airport Hilton, which is now a parking structure, Pasadena, and the Beverly Hilton. The most fun was working at the Beverly Hilton, where I met famous actors. They visited our hotel daily. And I also got to attend the Rose Bowl parade a couple of times working in Pasadena. While at the San Francisco Airport Hilton, I met my lovely wife, Lori. We began a relationship as roommates, and I'm not kidding, we were roommates, which was obviously very convenient. She worked as a kindergarten teacher for the Dublin School District for over 30 years, and she recently retired last June. We will be celebrating our 36th anniversary in December. Following my Hilton Hotel career, I moved into what's called the Convention and Visitors Bureau industry and spent time at the Los Angeles, San Jose, and Santa Clara Convention and Visitors Bureaus. In Santa Clara, the Chamber of Commerce managed the organization. And shortly after arriving there, I became the president and CEO and had that position for 12 years. My best memories in Santa Clara were being part of the approval and development of Levi Stadium, winning the bid to host Super Bowl 50, and experiencing WrestleMania live with almost 77,000 fans.
Wow.
in Levi Stadium. It was unbelievable. And I'm not a wrestling fan. After almost 25 years of driving over that snow grade, I decided it was time for a change and spent 1 year with the California Chamber of Commerce working from home, 2 years with the Pleasant Hill Chamber, which then brought me to my current position with the Pleasanton Chamber, which I consider my dream job. During my almost 30-year career in the Bay Area, we have lived in the same home in West Dublin and raised 3 boys that are now 31, 29, and 27. We have been blessed with amazing kids, now adults, and I have learned so much from each of them. John, our eldest, has helped me be more patient and understanding in life due to the many challenges he has already faced as a special needs adult. Jeff, our middle son, brings laughter, good times, creativity, and unconventional thinking. If you ever read the Zitz comic strip, you know what I mean. That's our son, Jeff. And Jason, our youngest, reminds me of myself with his laser focus and setting of goals, planning, and vision for his future. We love to travel, spend time at the beach, drink wine, lots of wine, and most especially quality time with family and friends. If you're still awake, thank you for your attention and time. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Nice job, Steve.
Very nice. Very
I'm
nice.
sorry. I just woke up. Did I miss something?
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Not you, McCoy.
That was so good, Steve. I think you should be the chairperson of the Spirit Run.
oh, thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate that. I'm out next week too, by the way. I'm not going to be around.
Hey, Steve, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You said that working for Pleasanton Chamber is your dream job. Tell us what you love most about it.
Well, a number of things. One is it's 10 minutes from my house. So really not a commute back when we used to work in the office, and hopefully that'll be happening again soon. And the size of the chamber, the community of Pleasanton, you know, I always worked in another place than where I live. So I never really got to connect with the elected officials, the folks that are leaders where I live. It was always in another place. So now I get to work with the folks that make things happen in the Tri-Valley where I live. So I really do enjoy that immensely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a way you unmute, I don't know. Steve, this is Larry. Could you bring us up to date as your most recent performance, I guess, was at the opening of the grocery store?
Whoa, what was that, Larry?
Was that the opening of the grocery store this morning?
Oh, yes, right. Grocery outlet. Yeah, we did our first ribbon cutting in probably 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was really exciting to be there, to see people that we haven't seen in person for a long time. And that grocery store looks amazing. I mean, you know, it used to be the Green Leaf, right? I think was the name of it, right? Larry, do I have that right?
New Leaf.
New Leaf, that's right. And I know you have that mind still trapped. So anyway, it's really, you got to check it out. And they also are known for their really well-priced discounted wines that they provide there as well. So anything else? Okay. Larry, are you going to the game tonight, the A's game?
I'm no longer a baseball fan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
You grumpy old man.
Yeah, right.
I resemble that remark.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So-
That was great.
So now that the next person stepping up to the plate, so to speak, is Bob Shapiro. Really, like Steve, a great leader in the community, and we really look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Thank you, Steve.
Remember that your wife is sitting next to you, so be careful.
I can't forget. Speaking of my wife, we've been married 26 years. Amongst us, we have 3 children. Robin, who has worked many years at Valley Care as a physical therapist. Rod, who's a vice president of civil engineering with Knife River in Stockton. And Scott, who is in Austin, Texas with Facebook in a very responsible position there. My hobbies, much like Steve, wine, reading, music, travel, and especially cruise travel. I was also raised in San Diego as Steve was. I was in an area called Linda Vista, which was a low socioeconomic area, but I loved growing up there. I had 2 loving parents. I'm an only child. When it came time to go to college, I really wanted to go to USC badly. I won a scholarship there, but I couldn't take it. My parents were very ill, and I decided I had to stay home and take care of them. So I applied for the University of San Diego. It's a Catholic university in San Diego. And I was accepted there, but the scholarship had 2 conditions. One condition is I had to have a 3.5 grade point or above. If I didn't, I would have to pay tuition. And second of all, they wanted me involved in student activities. So I founded a fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon, while I was on campus. I had many responsibilities working in student government, including president. I became very close to a number of bishops in the city due to the work I had in that realm. So one day, the president of the university called me up. His name's Father Cadden. And Father Cadden said, Bob, I know how busy you are, but you got to make room for an activity that I really want you to do. And I said, what, Father? And he said, our basketball star here, we want to make sure he graduates honorably academically. So I need you to tutor him. And I finally said, okay. And that person was Bernie Bickerstaff. Many of you may know Bernie. He was an NBA player. He was an NBA owner also with Michael Jordan of a franchise. And it was a pleasure working with Bernie for those years. Then Father Cadden called me back and he said, I have another assignment. And I said, Father, I have 2 part-time jobs in all. I don't know how I could do another assignment. And he said, well, this person's coming from Oxford in England, and he's an important person. He's the son of the king of Saudi Arabia. So here's a Jew in a Catholic university who's going to go and tutor a Muslim. So I did. Satam El Sayed came over. He was married. He had a child, wore a suit every day. Satam lived in the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club, and he was an unbelievable guy. We had a great relationship. But one of the first things, I have many stories about him, but one of the first things that he asked me to do was help him buy an automobile, and he wanted a Mercedes, so I took him to the dealer. And he said, you negotiate the deal, I'll just pay for it. And I said, okay, go sit in the corner. So I go into the dealership, and I'm there about a half hour, no one's waiting on me. So I looked for the general manager, found him, and reminded him why he was in business, to sell cars and maintain them. So after we got through that, we picked the car out, did the transaction. The general manager waited on me, and I had one request. I said, I want your salespeople to watch this. So he got his salespeople, and in front of them all, Satam pulled out a bunch of money out of his pockets, and he paid over $27,000 for an automobile back then, which was quite something. But many stories about Satam, great guy, and he eventually became the governor of Riyadh. I've never been able to talk to him again, though none of my mail ever made it through to Saudi Arabia. After graduating college, I joined Procter & Gamble in the sales realm. And then I was recruited by IBM to join them. They were growing very fast then. They had the 360 computer and everything was just heavy business. So they put me into a program after about a year, and they had 14 people in the program. And the program was to help accelerate management because they needed management. Their style management was very thorough management. So anyway, I went to a bunch of schools that they sent me to. It was like a boot camp, and I graduated. Out of the 14, only 4 of us graduated. So they stopped the program the next year because economically it didn't make sense to them. But while I was working for IBM, I worked in many locations, many different jobs. But my last job there was to work for a general manager who was responsible for 10 divisions of IBM, many billions of dollars. So I had to figure out what the sales force requirement would be for 10 divisions of IBM. I had to work with them on their productivity programs and all that. Enjoyed the job, enjoyed working with the general manager. And one day he came to see me. His name was Ted Papes, and Ted said, Bob, I'm going to be leaving. They're going to announce that I'm leaving here, but I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing because it's proprietary. But as soon as I can tell you, I will share that with you. And I said, fine. So true to his word, about 6 or 7 months later, I got a call from him. He has me meet him in a big, tall office building, and he's the only person there. And this is a massive amount of real estate. So he tells me that he's going to become CEO of a joint venture with CBS, Sears, Allstate, and MCI Communications. And it was pre-internet is what it was. So he said he wanted me to be the head of human resources. And I said, I've never done human resources. And he said, I know, Bob, but I want to take a different and fresh look of how to pay people, recruit people, benefit people, bonus people, et cetera, et cetera. And I did. I took the job, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then after that, he put me in my normal realm of business development and marketing, and I became the senior vice president of commercial marketing. And that was very exciting with Prodigy because we have one of the first stock transactions, one of the first airline transactions, one of the first retail, one of the first banking. So you're there working with all this new stuff happening, and it was way ahead of its time, but it was really fun to do. So after 10 years, Prodigy was sold and was taken internationally. I didn't go with them. I was recruited by another firm called R.L. Polk. And R.L. Polk was a big company, privately owned, and they do automobile analysis and consulting and heavy truck analysis and consulting. They also had some side businesses where they take warranty cards and they analyze the data of the warranty cards. So I was with R.L. Polk for about 4 years. Joyce and I had been married at the time. All our kids were in the Bay Area, so we decided, gee, this is crazy. We're away from our family and this isn't good. So we wanted to come back. So eventually I ended up being a real estate agent. And then I became the team leader and CEO of Keller Williams Real Estate and for the Tri-Valley, and very proud of that. We built the Salesforce agent force from 0 to over 240 agents with very high productivity. So that was cool. So once we came to an area that I didn't have to travel, a job I didn't have to travel a lot, my lovely wife says, I have advice for you to do 2 things. One is join Rotary. I did that, and in 19 years, I haven't missed a meeting. So I have perfect attendance, I'm proud to say. Number 2, she said, get involved with the chamber, and I did. And I became a 2-term director at the Chamber of Commerce in Pleasanton. And then for 2 terms, I was also chairman of the board of the foundation, the Chamber Foundation organization. I also became very involved in the community. Joyce is very involved, as all of you know. And I became a director at Las Positas College Foundation. I was a director at YMCA, doing all these community things. And then Joyce and I are very close to John Sensabaugh. And one day we talked to each other and said, John needs some help. He's running the hospital board. This is Valley Care before Stanford. And it looks like he needs some help. So anyway, we talked to John. He got back to us after a lot of discussion and offered us the opportunity to be co-chairs of the Valley Care Charitable Foundation. This was 7 years ago. And we took that position, Joyce and I jointly, and we've been very happy with it. We're still there. We had to stop a lot of the other activities we were involved in due to the amount of time and effort. But the organization is a fantastic one. A friend of John Sensabaugh's told me 2 days ago, told us, is that John's like a character in Oklahoma. I just can't say no. So John says yes a lot of times. Well, we didn't want to say no to John either. We wanted to say yes. So we've worked with that delightful man for the last 7 years. And working with Valley Care is unreal. Just as Steve mentioned, Tracy Lewis Taylor is the chief operating officer of the hospital, and Tracy is now the chairman of the board for the chamber. Also, we have Rick Shumway. I brought Rick twice to give talks to the Rotary Club here. He's a fantastic guy, and Stanford Healthcare Valley Care is a fantastic organization. We love working with it, and we love the community, and we just feel very honored to be here, and that's the story.
It's a great story. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Great, Bob.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sure,
Bill.
Bob. So Bob, how long were you in San Diego then?
Until I graduated college, and then I
Okay.
moved to be with Procter and Gamble to the Riverside area.
Yeah, I used to take my girlfriend up to that by USD, and that's where we'd make out up there, you know, the view of Mission Bay.
It's a good place to make out, that way up on the hills.
Yeah,
Overshare.
And then you get the Catholic Church to honor it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're forgiven. Anyway.
Great. So does anybody have any questions for Bob or Steve? And they don't have to be about making out.
Darn it.
Bob, when you worked for IBM, were you in New York State most of the time with IBM?
Not most of the time. Twice I was in Detroit. I was in Los Angeles. I was in New Jersey, New York. I moved probably 11 or 12 times with, I had Las Vegas also at one time. So a lot of moving. IBM used to stand for I've been moved.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That was great.
Good job.
Good job. Okay, well, that wraps up our meeting. If there's no other announcements.
If we, since we have a few minutes, let me just ask, our next Blue Badge talks, I believe, are May 6th. So who wants to raise your hand? I'm looking around.
Or Steve, we could do red badge talks too.
Or, ooh, I like it. Bill, oh, that's fantastic. Great. Okay. So that's
John
one
Sensible.
pigeon, I mean, person who's going to join
John
us.
Sensible.
And did John say that, or did Ricky say it on his behalf?
What I do to you, Ricky?
So, John, I'm going to take that as a yes.
He can't say no.
No, I'll do it. Let me see if I'm in town. Oh, you know what? I can't on May 6th. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
But I will at some point in time. I'll give people fair warning so they can find something else to do that day.
It's by Zoom. You don't need to be in town.
Well, that's all right. How about Mike Mike, you always have a lot to say.
You know, the only problem with that, Steve, is the last time I was invited to do a blue badge, I started out and, telling everybody where I was born. And by the time I got to the 5th grade, my time was up. So I never really got to the meat of the whole matter. I'm afraid that if I did it again, I probably only get through my junior high school.
Well, Mike, I thought 5th grade, you referred to 5th grade as senior year.
I did talk about my first girlfriend, which was pretty exciting. But then I got quickly cut off.
Well, you know what, Mike, we can do it like in a series. So how will we do? We'll do 6th grade through the high school year.
That would be very exciting.
As long as he doesn't talk about his wife's toe fungus.
And I could have at some point I could have my wife do a talk on her hawk and her mushrooms.
When we get live, do that.
Yeah, she's got some really interesting stuff she can talk about.
Yeah. I just want to remind you, when I first moved to Pleasanton, Joy Shapiro had a wonderful, wonderful little shop downtown that wasn't mentioned. And that was before she ever met or married Bob, I believe. But it was wonderful. I love that little shop.
Gingham Corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I guess Joyce will be our next speaker.
It sounded to me like Mike was volunteering Janet to speak on his behalf on this Blue Badge talk.
Let's hear from Jennifer. That sounds gret, Mike.
Okay, I'll put something together. If they fall through, then I'll get I don't know. I'll get my daughter to talk. My daughter, if Nelson would let my daughter talk, my daughter would be excellent because she does she's involved with the landscape department of City of Pleasanton. And so if you want to get a tree cut down in your yard, you have to contact City of Pleasanton, and they usually send Sarah out. And it's almost impossible to convince Sarah that they should allow you to cut your tree down.
Yeah, you call Sarah after you cut your tree down.
Yeah. In fact, I had her over one day and she was in our backyard and I told her what a pain in the ass the redwood trees were that were in my neighbor's yard. And she spent about the next 15 minutes telling me how great redwood trees are and how much habitat they provide and how good they are for the soil. And so that was, that's pretty much what Sarah would probably bring to the table.
Well, Mike, if you want to
Who's
get
talking?
family members to speak on other days, that'd be great. But we're gonna have you do 6th grade through high school.
Okay.
That's what, about 15 years?
You really do need to hear from the Red Badgers.
Yeah,
You got 3 Red Badgers.
Yeah, bring the Red Badgers in, Steve. I don't need to talk. I mean, I will if you're in a pinch, but I think the Red Badgers would be better.
Well, all right. Any Red Badgers want to step up?
Well, Gino.
No, you assign it to them.
You don't give them a choice. What are you talking about?
I'm a trial lawyer. I'm happy to talk about myself as much as you like. So I will volunteer.
Done.
Okay, Gina. All right, that's great.
And then Mike can cross-examine.
I'll look forward to that.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Okay, great. Steve, Bob, great to hear from you. Thank you for being such great leaders in Rotary and in our community. Really appreciate everything you said today. And with that, we will see everyone next week. Meeting adjourned.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.